up one day and realizing that two of the most iconic American brands, Apple and McDonald's, are facing a significant decline in one of the world's largest and fastest-growing markets, China. These companies, which were once considered invincible giants in the global economy, are now struggling to maintain their dominance in the Chinese market. What was once a golden opportunity for American brands has now become a battleground of fierce competition, evolving consumer preferences, and shifting market dynamics. What makes this loss of grip so significant is not just the shrinking market share for these American companies, but the larger implications it has on the future of global business. China's rise as an economic powerhouse is not just about dominating its own market. It's about setting the stage for a global transformation. From technology and trade to the way nations do business, China is redefining success in the 21st century. And in doing so, it's changing the rules for what it means to thrive in the global economy. This shift in China's market isn't just a temporary blip on the radar, it's a fundamental change. Over the past decade, China has rapidly transformed from a nation that primarily relied on imports and foreign expertise into a dominant force in innovation and self-sufficiency. Chinese companies that were once seen as mere imitators of Western brands have now become leaders in their own right. Brands like Huawei, Xiaomi, and Luckin Coffee have skyrocketed in popularity, often leaving their American counterparts in the dust. In fact, many Chinese consumers now prefer homegrown brands over foreign ones, finding them more attuned to local needs, preferences, and values. China's corporate landscape has evolved significantly in the last 10 years. From the booming tech scene to the rise of local retail giants, the country has transformed itself into a thriving hub of innovation. According to a recent Bloomberg report, Chinese brands such as Huawei, Xiaomi, and Luckin Coffee have garnered unprecedented success. These companies, which were once seen as imitators, are now trailblazers setting new trends in everything from artificial intelligence, AI, and 5G technology to coffee shop culture. Huawei, for example, has become a global leader in 5G technology, and its innovation is now seen as more cutting-edge and in tune with Chinese consumer needs than anything Apple or McDonald's can offer. Dr. Jean-Paul Larson, a professor specializing in Asian markets at INED, points out that China's corporate landscape is no longer about imitation. It's about setting trends, pushing technological boundaries, and leading the world in innovation. But what does this mean for American companies like Apple and McDonald's, which have been struggling to adapt to these shifting dynamics? Is this just a passing trend, or does the data suggest a more permanent shift in consumer behavior? The evidence is mounting. It's a lasting shift. A 2023 survey conducted by Global Times reveals that over 70% of Chinese consumers now prefer local brands over foreign ones. This is a dramatic reversal from just a decade ago when American companies were revered as the epitome of quality and aspiration. The rise of local brands in China reflects a deep transformation in the nation's economic strategy, encapsulated in the dual circulation model. This strategy, which emphasizes self-sufficiency and domestic consumption, is reshaping China's economy and its consumer habits. According to Wang Wei, a senior economist at the China Center for International Economic Exchanges, China's push for domestic consumption is no longer just an economic goal. It's a policy shift with concrete implications for foreign companies. One of the primary drivers behind this shift is cost. Apple, once seen as the symbol of aspirational luxury, is now perceived as overly expensive. In contrast, local brands like Xiaomi, Oppo, and Huawei deliver comparable or even superior products at a fraction of the cost. A report by McKinsey & Company reveals that 62% of Chinese consumers now prioritize value-for-money brands over premium labels. Apple, which once commanded a significant premium for its products, is now facing increased competition from local tech giants that can offer similar quality at a more accessible price point. In addition to price, quality is another critical factor. Many younger Chinese consumers view local brands like Huawei and Xiaomi as equal to, if not superior to, their foreign counterparts. A survey by Statista found that 55% of Chinese consumers under the age of 35 trust Chinese brands as much as or more than foreign brands. This shift in perception has leveled the playing field for Chinese companies, if not tilted it in their favor. Mei Zhang, a retail analyst at China Renaissance Capital, notes that the rise in quality perception of local brands has made Chinese consumers more confident in choosing homegrown products over Western alternatives. But what exactly is driving this rise in consumer loyalty toward local Chinese brands? It's not just about price or quality. It's also about national pride and the sense of solidarity with local companies. Huawei and Xiaomi, for instance, have become symbols of China's resilience in the face of foreign sanctions. When Huawei was hit with US sanctions, many Chinese consumers rallied behind the brand, viewing it not just as a tech company, but as a symbol of China's defiance against foreign interference. According to the South China Morning Post, Huawei's market share in China surged by 30% following the sanctions, a clear indication of consumer solidarity. Xiao Qin, a consumer behavior expert at Tsinghua University, explains that for many Chinese consumers, purchasing Huawei products isn't just a matter of quality or value. It's a statement of national pride and a way to support China's technological rise. This alignment between local brands and national pride has created a strong sense of loyalty among Chinese consumers. Brands like Huawei and Xiaomi have tapped into the growing sense of nationalism, which has only been amplified by rising geopolitical tensions, particularly between China and the United States. Nationalism is increasingly becoming a driving force in Chinese consumer behavior. A recent survey by South China Morning Post found that nearly 80% of young Chinese consumers prefer to buy from local brands as a way to support their country's economy and ideals. This isn't just a fleeting trend. It's a powerful shift with deep implications for how international brands are perceived in China. For many young Chinese consumers, choosing local brands is a way of asserting their national identity and rejecting foreign influence. Buying from Huawei, for example, is often seen as supporting China's fight against U.S. sanctions. As Dr. Li Wei, a sociologist at Peking University, points out, this shift in consumer preferences is not only about price or quality. It's about aligning with values and supporting brands that embody national pride. But how does this shift in consumer sentiment play into the broader economic landscape of China? With the cost of living rising rapidly, particularly in major cities like Beijing and Shanghai, it's not just nationalism that's driving consumers toward local brands. It's also a matter of practicality. A report by China Daily revealed that since 2022, the average cost of goods and housing in China has risen by nearly 15%. With everyday expenses increasing, many consumers are looking for ways to save money without sacrificing quality. Foreign brands, which often come with a premium price tag, are increasingly being seen as luxury items rather than everyday necessities. McDonald's and Starbucks, for example, once symbols of a trendy and cosmopolitan lifestyle, now face the challenge of competing with local alternatives that offer similar products at more affordable prices. Luckin Coffee is a prime example of how local brands are thriving in this new economic environment. By aggressively pricing its products to compete with Starbucks, Luckin Coffee has gained significant market share. According to The Economist, Luckin Coffee saw a 30% increase in market share in the past year by appealing to value-seeking customers who are increasingly cost-conscious. This affordability factor is crucial in a country where many consumers are facing rising living expenses. Jing Zheng, an economist at Shanghai University of Finance and Economics, notes that Chinese consumers are pragmatic, especially as the cost of living rises. As a result, they're willing to choose brands that fit their budgets, even if those brands are local. Foreign companies are also facing increasing regulatory challenges in China. Over the past few years, China has implemented a series of new regulations that make it more difficult for foreign companies to operate with the same freedom they once enjoyed. For instance, new data localization laws require companies like Apple and Tesla to store user data on Chinese soil. This has significantly complicated the process of managing user data for these foreign companies. Apple, for example, had to completely reconfigure its entire Chinese data infrastructure, an effort that Bloomberg estimates cost the company millions of dollars. According to Xiao Xing, a policy analyst at China Economic Review, these regulatory changes are not just administrative hurdles. They are structural shifts that are reshaping how foreign companies operate in China. Compliance with these new regulations comes at a significant cost. As a result, many foreign companies are rethinking their long-term viability in the Chinese market. After all, they face not only increased operational costs, but also heightened competition from local companies that are not bound by the same regulatory constraints. As foreign companies continue to struggle with compliance, local competitors are gaining an edge. Sustainability is another area where foreign companies are facing pressure to adapt in order to stay competitive. Environmental concerns are a top priority for younger Chinese consumers, who view climate change as one of the biggest challenges facing their future. According to a study by Greenpeace China, 72% of consumers under 30 actively look for brands that demonstrate a strong environmental commitment. As sustainability becomes increasingly important to consumers, foreign brands are finding that they can no longer afford to ignore green practices. American companies that want to succeed in China must go beyond simply offering sustainable products. They must also demonstrate a genuine commitment to environmental responsibility. Starbucks, for example, has pledged to operate entirely on renewable energy across all its Chinese outlets by 2030. This commitment has bolstered its reputation among environmentally conscious consumers, particularly younger Chinese shoppers. Li Ming, a sustainability expert at Beijing Normal University, notes that green policies resonate strongly with younger Chinese consumers. If foreign brands fail to meet these expectations, they risk losing a significant portion of the market to competitors who are more environmentally responsible. Beyond sustainability, creating emotional connections with Chinese consumers is also essential for success in the market. For American companies, this means understanding and respecting Chinese culture, traditions, and values. Successful brands know that it's not just about selling products. It's about creating emotional resonance and building long-term relationships with consumers. Apple, for example, has run several ad campaigns in China that celebrate Chinese New Year traditions, using heartfelt storytelling to connect with consumers on a cultural level. Alex Zhang, a marketing expert at Renmin University, explains that Chinese consumers respond well to brands that recognize and respect their cultural values. Brands that align their campaigns with important cultural moments like Chinese New Year or the Mid-Autumn Festival strengthen brand loyalty by showing that they understand what matters to consumers. In the fast food sector, McDonald's has been adapting to local tastes and preferences in order to remain competitive. The company has been in China since the early 1990s, and over the years it has learned the importance of cultural adaptation. Today, nearly 60% of McDonald's menu in China is tailored to regional tastes. From rice dishes to spicy options, McDonald's has made a concerted effort to offer products that resonate with Chinese consumers. The company has also embraced China's tech-driven consumer landscape by introducing AI-powered kiosks and facial recognition payment systems to enhance the customer experience. This technological innovation is more than just a gimmick. It's a strategic move in a market that values digital engagement. In China, technological innovation is a key factor in consumer decision-making. Brands that are not at the forefront of digital innovation risk falling behind. Mobile payments, AI-driven personalization, and interactive marketing on platforms like WeChat and Douyin have become essential tools for brands seeking to succeed in China's competitive market. According to a report by the China Internet Network Information Center, 99% of Chinese internet users are active on mobile platforms. This makes mobile-first strategies indispensable for foreign companies operating in China. Starbucks has embraced this approach by partnering with WeChat for seamless ordering and delivery, while Nike has leveraged AI-powered apps to recommend products based on user preferences and past purchases. Grace Zhou, a digital commerce consultant at Shanghai Partners, explains that digital strategy is no longer just a competitive advantage in China, it's a requirement for success. China is a vast and diverse country, and understanding regional differences is critical for American brands looking to adapt to the market. What works in Beijing may not work in Chengdu or Shenzhen. Successful brands understand the importance of tailoring their approach to different regions within China. Coca-Cola, for example, has tailored its flavors and marketing campaigns to match local tastes, even introducing unique flavors for specific regions. In China, storytelling and social media play a crucial role in building brand loyalty and trust. Platforms like WeChat, Douyin, and Xiaohongshu allow brands to tell stories, engage in real-time conversations with consumers, and create a sense of community. As China continues to evolve, foreign companies will face increasing pressure to adapt. Sustainability, cultural adaptation, and technological innovation will all play crucial roles in determining the future success of American brands in China. Companies that are able to understand and respect the unique needs of Chinese consumers will be best positioned to thrive in one of the world's most dynamic markets. In conclusion, the seismic shift underway in China's market is not just a challenge for American giants like Apple and McDonald's. It's a wake-up call for companies around the world. China's rise is reshaping the global business landscape, and those who fail to adapt may find themselves left behind. The future of international business lies in the ability to understand and navigate these complex changes. What does this mean for the rest of the world? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, China's influence will continue to grow, and its impact on the global economy will be felt for years to come.